With less than 2 weeks to go until Jesse McBee and Alli Ventresca's wedding on the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys, the groom was experiencing more than just cold feet. Following a solo night harvest on Season 2, Episode 8, Jess described being in the throes of his first ever full-fledged anxiety attack. "I'm thinking about getting married. I can feel my heart beating through my chest, and I start sweating. And once it all starts to boil over and all that stress starts to pile up, I honestly don't know what to do." He further detailed his freak out to both brother Stephen McBee Jr. and later to his fiancée, sharing that he felt like he was having a heart attack amid symptoms of lightheadedness and hyperventilating. Despite some initial hesitation, Jesse finally opened up to Alli, leading her to ask the pivotal episode-ending question. "Do you think that postponing the wedding is something you'd want to do? That you need to do." Luckily, the first look at the McBee Dynasty Season 2, Episode 9, airing on August 25, reveals Jesse's answer. "I appreciate that a lot, but I don't think postponing it would do anything," he responds. "I want you to be excited and happy, and I think it's gonna be a good day. I'm excited." Inside Jesse McBee and Alli Ventresca's conversation about postponing their wedding. During their discussion, which kicked off during the August 18 episode, Jesse opened up about feeling extreme pressure involving both the farm's financial issues, as well as his loved one's perceptions, both of him individually and as a couple with Alli. Add to that a core of familial opinions on Jesse asking Alli for a prenup and the institution or marriage as a whole. "I feel like I'm living a double life, trying to keep this image that they all have," he tearfully explained. "It just feels like everybody thinks that we have the perfect relationship and that we never have problems and that I'm some perfect guy. It's not the case, first off, and I hate that they even say that 'cause it just adds this unneeded pressure." Ultimately, Jesse didn't want to let anybody down, especially Alli. "I wish I would have known how you felt. Like, I wish you felt like you could come to me about those kinds of things," his bride-to-be responded, agreeing on Episode 9 that it was scary how neither of their parents' marriages worked out, coupled with the fact everyone had been pointing out that high school sweethearts like them often don't make it in the long run. "Everybody has very high expectations of us for sure, but it's our marriage," Alli continues. "I'm not scared to marry you. I don't want you to ever feel like you're doing it because of societal pressures." While Alli shares in a confessional that she was trying to be strong through Jess's vulnerable moment, he admits to a producer that there are still a lot of questions up in the air for them to iron out, however. "We don't even know where we're gonna live after the wedding," Jesse elaborates amid an ongoing disagreement over whether to be closer to the farm in Gallatin, Missouri, or her job as a nurse practitioner more than 70 miles away in Kansas City. That is something that really needs to be figured out. Stephen McBee Jr. reacts to Jesse McBee's wedding anxiety. The day after experiencing his first anxiety attack, which he'd self-diagnosed based on an online search, Jesse opened up to big brother Stephen Jr. about feeling nervous about his and Alli's wedding. "I started thinking about everything that could go wrong," he said, citing discord in parents Christy McBee and Stephen McBee Sr.'s failed marriage. "Even when they were younger and we were kids, like, they fought all the time, and I didn't really see a whole lot of joy in that relationship. What do married people have to look forward to?" In a confessional, he added, "I'm a bit jaded on the subject of marriage, based on my parents' marriage and just how really dysfunctional it was, especially towards the end. Is that how every relationship is gonna be? Is that how I'm gonna be?" Recognizing that Jesse was under a ton of pressure, Stephen Jr. assured him, "It's obviously a big deal, but it's not like your life is over. It is your decision to make, no one else's." That's when Jesse broke into tears and had to walk outside to collect himself before driving off in his pickup truck. "Out of all of us 4 boys, Jess has always been the most stoic, Stephen said in a confessional. So the fact that he's acting like this with the wedding next week, I'm actually really concerned. Afterward, he called their brother, Cole McBee, to tell him that Jesse broke down, noting that he'd never seen him cry before. Cole, meanwhile, was equally stunned and asked if Jesse still wanted to go through with the wedding. As Stephen replied, I think he's got second thoughts out of this world. The McBee Ranch, baking the earth and mirroring the inferno brewing inside Jesse McBee. Less than 2 weeks out from his wedding to Alli Ventresca, the usual prenuptial jitters had morphed into a full-blown siege on his sanity. The cold feet had become an icy, paralyzing grip. It had started subtly, a low hum of unease during a solitary night harvest. The rhythmic thrum of the combine usually soothed him, a familiar lullaby of work and purpose. But that night it had been a drumbeat, echoing the frantic throb in his chest. I'm thinking about getting married, he later confessed, his voice rough with the memory. I can feel my heart beating through my chest, and I start sweating. And once it all starts to boil over and all that stress starts to pile up, I honestly don't know what to do. He'd called it a freak out, an understatement for the seismic shift in his usually stoic demeanor. Lightheadedness, hyperventilating. He genuinely believed he was having a heart attack. The man who rarely showed an ounce of weakness was unraveling, and the weight of it all was crushing. The confession to his older brother, Stephen Jr., was a torrent of raw vulnerability. Jesse, the solid, unshakable one, had crumbled. He'd driven off in his pickup truck, leaving Stephen Jr. with a chilling concern. Out of all of us 4 boys, Jess has always been the most stoic, Stephen Jr. had admitted in a confessional. So the fact that he's acting like this with the wedding next week, I'm actually really concerned. The phone call to Cole, another brother, had solidified the dread. I think he's got second thoughts out of this world. Later, he'd faced Alli, the woman he was supposed to spend forever with. The hardest conversation yet. He'd laid bare the crushing pressure he felt. The farm's precarious finances, the seemingly perfect image everyone held of him and Alli, the endless familial opinions on everything from prenups to the very institution of marriage. I feel like I'm living a double life, trying to keep this image that they all have, he choked out, tears streaming down his face. It just feels like everybody thinks that we have the perfect relationship and that we never have problems and that I'm some perfect guy. It's not the case, first off, and I hate that they even say that 'cause it just adds this unneeded pressure. The unspoken fear was letting everyone down, especially Alli. He saw the disappointment in their eyes, the shattering of their illusions. Alli, usually so steadfast, had looked at him with a mix of concern and a touch of hurt. I wish I would have known how you felt. Like, I wish you felt like you could come to me about those kinds of things, she'd responded, her voice gentle but firm. She understood the underlying anxieties. Their parents' failed marriages, a stark reminder that even seemingly strong unions could crumble. The endless chorus of high school sweethearts don't make it echoing in their ears. Everybody has very high expectations of us for sure, but it's our marriage, Alli had asserted, her voice gaining strength. I'm not scared to marry you. I don't want you to ever feel like you're doing it because of societal pressures. In a confessional, Alli admitted she was trying to be strong, but the uncertainty hung heavy in the air. Jesse, too, acknowledged the unresolved issues. We don't even know where we're gonna live after the wedding. He'd confided to a producer, the ongoing debate about Gallatin versus Kansas City, a stark representation of their individual paths trying to converge. That is something that really needs to be figured out. The next morning, the sun rose, casting long shadows across the dew-kissed fields. Jesse had spent a sleepless night, the conversation with Alli replaying in his mind. Her strength, her understanding, her unwavering belief in their marriage, not just the perception of it. The words, "Do you think that postponing the wedding is something you'd want to do?" "That you need to do," had haunted him. He walked to the barn, the familiar scent of hay and livestock a grounding presence. The anxiety was still there, a dull ache behind his eyes, but the sharp edges had softened. He thought about his parents, their constant arguments, the lack of joy. What do married people have to look forward to? He'd asked Stephen Jr., the question loaded with the baggage of his past. He had been jaded, no doubt. But then he thought of Alli, her laughter, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the quiet comfort of her hand in his. He thought of the future they'd planned, the dreams they'd shared, not just the ones projected onto them. The pressure was external, yes, but the love, the connection with Alli, that was internal, deeply rooted. He found Alli in the kitchen, nursing a mug of coffee. She looked tired, but her eyes, when they met his, were full of love and a quiet anticipation.